Hi, tonight I want to show you something new I got today. This has been a pre-ordered item from Festool. It's the edge sanding guide for the ETS 125 sander. And this is going to be a game changer. It's an attachment that you can put on the sander so that you can sand at different angles or 90 degrees and just keep the random orbit sander flush against that edge. Be a game changer. It's an attachment that you can put on the sander so that you can sand at different angles or 90 degrees and just keep the random orbit sander flush against that edge. So I'm going to unbox this and show you what's inside. Inside this box, it looks like it comes with 2 set screws or screws to attach that to the base of the sander. It even comes with an Allen wrench. And inside the box, it's got 2 pieces, tiltable base, and another pad if you're doing hard materials or soft materials. There's a felt pad on the bottom for the softer materials. Big box of instructions. So let's see if we can put this together. So it looks like what happens is this fits on here. This wraps around it. Probably only one way it fits. It fits well that way. This is going to fit over the top of it. So real easy to install. You put the 2 screws in there. Take your Allen wrench, tighten that down. It was nice because I already had this sander. I've got a project I'm working on that I've been waiting for this. It's been on back order or pre-order for a long time. I think it's scheduled to be released on December 1st, and I just happened to get one a little bit earlier. Some of the pre-orders have been shipped out. So I'm just going to tighten those down. Real simple. Okay, that's tight. Now what happens is there's a thing here that loosens that so you can turn the base. So if you had something with an angle, there's even a angle finder here on the side where you can go. It looks like you can get 45, 60, 75, and 90 degrees. Or you could tilt that to whatever angle you need for the piece that you're sanding. Looks like you could also change the base pretty easily. Just push the green button, pull that out, and attach the other base, depending on what you're doing. I'm gonna leave this one on for what I'm doing. So the green button, push that. And then there's also a lever here on the side. It says hard or soft. So in just watching some of the previews on this, that look like the soft one makes this a little bit flexible. So when you first put it on there, it's not grabbing right on the edge of the wood. There's probably some more technical terms for what that's for, but I'm gonna put that in the hard position so that stiffens this up. So when you first put it on the edge, and then in a lot of the reviews I've seen that you loosen this, put a square on here to make sure that's 90, and then you'd put this on the edge of your wood, and you'd hold this as you're holding the sander, and that's gonna keep your edge nice, sharp, and crisp and square. Where if you're doing it with the random orbit sander and you tilt that a little bit, it may throw your edge out. So I'm gonna clamp a piece of wood down, and I'm gonna try it on here. I have a piece of 100 grit sandpaper on it. So I loosen that, tip it out of the way, just put the sandpaper on there. So let me plug this in, hook it up to the vacuum, and sand the edge of something so we can see this in action. So this is something brand new from Festool. It's been on the pre-ordered list for a while, and it's scheduled to be released in the stores for sale December 1st. So we'll come back in 2 seconds and we'll plug that in. I'll square that up and hook it up to something so you can see how it works. All right, so I got the base on there. I got a piece of 100 grit sandpaper on it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this base, put the square on the base. I'm gonna slide that up, and I'm gonna hold that in place. And I'm going to tighten this here on the side so that I'm at 90 degrees. Okay, so that's locked in. I have it set for the hard mode, so this isn't flexible. I'm going to take this and I'm going to sand this. I'm going to put this on the edge or the top surface of the side of my leg for my project. And I'm going to turn the sander on. I think the only challenge is going to be that sands that nice and keeps that square, hopefully. The challenge is going to be clamping that down so the wood doesn't move. But if I put a square on there, it's pretty square. So that's going to be a nice thing because this had saw marks in it. You can see the saw marks. I did put a stop here to help hold this on my micro jig table. I'm going to adjust this in a little bit. I have it so the wood's hanging over the edge of the bench a tiny bit so that the sandpaper can go down to the edge of the bench. I'm going to tighten these. I'm going to move this a little bit closer. See if that's a little bit more stable. Someone put two hands on the sander, so definitely probably got to hold the wood down really well. Set this edge on here, turn it on. With that hooked up to the dust extractor, the vacuum, that's going to help. I still got a little bit more to go, but you can see I've taken out some of the saw marks on there, so I got a little ways to go. But this one's important that I keep these edges nice and flat because these are the legs of a podium that I'm building, and it has some horizontal pieces that come out top and bottom on each side. And if I have any dips or waves in there, you're going to notice that. So it's important I keep that square. But the other thing I like about it is one of the legs on my podium actually has a 45-degree angle in it. So I can take this, put this back in that same stop. I'm going to move my stop over on my workbench. I'm going to move it in a little bit so it's still hanging over. Pinch that. But with this, I can loosen this knob here, and I'm going to turn this to 45 degrees because that's what I cut the angle on the podium. So if I turn that, I'm going to look at the scale, and I can see there with the little pointer, looks like it's adjustable so that if you do need to calibrate it, you can. So I'm going to set that there, and then I'm going to hold my wood up on that and see what that looks like. So if I put that on there like that, you can see that it's cutting on that angle. So to get my saw marks out of here, I could get a cabinet scraper and scrape that, but hopefully with this, keeping it at the 45 degree, it's going to keep those edges nice and crisp because I do have to put a molding around the bottom of this. So let's see what happens there. So that's going to help keep those more accurate when you have to do one or more. So if you were to scrape that or sand that with the random orbit, I might change this angle. So far I'm really happy with this. Been waiting for it for a few months. So I think this is going to be a beneficial tool for most of us. So another thing we could do with the edge guide is I lock this in at 90 degrees, and for doing the edge of a countertop, in this case this is a base of a podium I'm working on. What happens with this is when I changed that to the harder surface one, the other one I felt like the felt pad was just picking up the sawdust, rubbing across there. So in certain situations that might be good. But with this, I can hold this at the angle, and I'm gonna let this hang over the bench a little bit. This is on wheels, so I gotta be careful how I clamp this so I don't break the wood. I can put this on the edge because I still got 2 more layers of molding that go underneath this, so I want to keep this square. So I'm gonna put that on the edge and sand that. So that'll help keep that nice and square. I got a little bit more to do because I got some saw marks in there, but I cut that with like a track saw to cut that angle in there. So still got to go back and sand this and sand that edge some more. But I'll go around and do all the edges on it, and that'll help get rid of the saw marks. Then I'll put my layers of molding underneath that. So I think this will be great for that. There's a little bit getting used to it. My pieces before were moving around a little bit, so it's figuring out how to clamp them because you got to put 2 hands on this, so your wood's got to be something you clamp down to the bench. So I think this is going to be worthwhile having, especially for stuff like this, because if I were to sand this and round these edges, you would see that when I put the next layers on there, because it'll be like three layers or 3 steps in this base. So if you like these videos, if you could please to like and subscribe so that we can continue doing more. Stay tuned. We got more coming up on Facebook and on YouTube. Thanks for watching.